In the early 1980s, Michael Jackson lived in a world unlike anything most people could ever imagine. Everywhere he went, crowds followed. Every song he released climbed straight to the top of the charts. His album Thriller was not just successful, it became a cultural moment that touched nearly every corner of the globe. People talked about his music in schools, in homes, in taxis, on radio shows, and even in places where English was not spoken. His style, his voice, and his dance moves made him a figure who stood out in a way few artists ever had. And at this time, Michael was not just admired, he was adored. Despite the noise of fame around him, Michael was still someone who cared deeply about his craft. He studied every dance move, rehearsed until late at night, and paid attention to every detail. Whether he was practicing in a studio or writing a song in a quiet room, his focus stayed on being the best performer he could possibly be. Even his closest friends often said that Michael did not simply want to perform. He wanted to create moments that people would remember for years. And because of his dedication, he became someone companies dreamed of working with. Everyone, from music producers to fashion designers, wanted a piece of the magic he carried with him. Among these companies was Pepsi. At the time, Pepsi wanted to win the attention of young people around the world, and they believed Michael Jackson was the perfect person to help them do that. Their leadership watched the waves of excitement created by his songs, and they understood that his name alone could bring huge attention to their brand. So, after many talks, Pepsi reached out with a major offer. They wanted Michael to star in a new commercial, one that would highlight his talent and also present Pepsi as the drink of a new, lively generation. For Michael, this partnership seemed like a natural step. He enjoyed the idea of a project that mixed music, dance, and visual energy. So he and his team agreed. And once the deal was signed, talk about the upcoming commercial spread quickly. Fans were excited, companies were curious, and media outlets reported every new update. Behind the scenes, directors and producers worked hard to create a concept that matched Michael's artistic style. They wanted something bold, something bright. Something that showed movement, rhythm, and joy. A commercial with Michael Jackson had to be more than ordinary. It had to feel like an event. When the day finally came to film the commercial, the atmosphere was full of excitement. The crew worked inside the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, a place known for its grand stage and deep history. Early in the morning, trucks loaded with equipment lined up outside. Inside, camera operators set up their lenses, lighting teams lifted heavy rigs into place, and dancers practiced their steps. The production team had recreated a concert-like scene, complete with large speakers, bright lights, and a stage designed to look as if thousands of cheering fans were in front of it. Even though it was only a commercial shoot, the energy felt very real. Michael arrived quietly, as he often did, but his presence changed the entire room. People paused just to look at him, wanting to take in the moment. He greeted everyone kindly, shaking hands with dancers and speaking warmly to the crew. Many of them were meeting him for the first time, and even though they were professionals, it was hard not to feel a little starstruck. Michael had that effect. He could walk into a room and make people feel they were witnessing something special. Once rehearsals began, the set transformed even more. Michael moved with the ease of someone born to dance. Even simple steps looked graceful. Directors watched closely as he practiced going down the staircase that would be featured in the commercial. Dancers followed the rhythm of the music, adjusting their timing to match his. When Michael performed, every movement seemed to connect to the beat in a natural way. The entire set almost felt like a concert preparing to begin. As the day continued, the crew tested the lighting, sound, and camera angles. They wanted every frame to look perfect. The commercial needed to capture the energy of a live performance without actually having a real audience. So the directors planned to use bright flashes of light and controlled bursts of special effects behind Michael. These special effects, small spark-like flashes, were meant to imitate the excitement of a show. They were timed carefully to match the choreography, giving a sense of sparkle and celebration. Michael understood how important the final result was. He asked questions, made suggestions, and tried different movements until he felt the scene looked right. The crew appreciated this because although he was a huge star, he remained humble when working. He treated every person on the set with respect, whether they were a dancer, a director, or someone carrying equipment. He wanted everyone to feel like part of the team. During breaks, he spoke gently with the young dancers, some of whom were teenagers. They looked up to him with admiration, and he encouraged them to follow their dreams, reminding them that dedication was the key. To many of them, this commercial felt like the most important moment of their young careers. Being able to perform alongside Michael Jackson was something they would remember for the rest of their lives. Meanwhile, Pepsi executives watched everything from the sidelines. They could already imagine how powerful the commercial would be once it was completed. For them, seeing Michael on the set, confidently rehearsing and performing, confirmed that they had chosen the right person for the campaign. They believed that this commercial would not only attract millions of viewers but also set a new standard for advertising. No artist before Michael had worked on a commercial with this level of production, and Pepsi wanted this moment to feel groundbreaking. As rehearsals continued, the director made a decision to make the performance even more dynamic. He suggested increasing the brightness and timing of the special effect bursts to give the visual more energy. The technical team agreed and worked quickly to adjust the equipment. Their goal was simple. When viewers watched the commercial, they should feel excitement similar to what they would feel at one of Michael's concerts. By late afternoon, the set had reached full energy, cameras rolled, dancers moved in perfect rhythm, and Michael performed his signature steps with effortless charm. The music played loudly through the speakers, filling the entire room with rhythm and heat. The chorus echoed again and again as they repeated the take to capture different angles. Every moment on set felt charged, like something big was happening, something people would talk about long after the lights were turned off. And through all of this, Michael gave his best. He smiled, laughed with the dancers, and encouraged the crew when they grew tired. His work ethic impressed everyone. Even though he was already one of the most famous people in the world, he still moved with the dedication of someone who wanted to earn his place every single day. For many people on set, it was clear they were working not just with a superstar, but with someone who genuinely loved performing. The day ended with a feeling of accomplishment. The crew had captured several strong takes, and although more work needed to be done, everyone believed they were creating something special. As Michael prepared to leave the set, people thanked him warmly. He waved back, gentle and gracious as always. The lights dimmed, the equipment was packed away, and the building slowly grew quiet. Yet a sense of excitement remained in the air. Everyone could feel it. The commercial was going to be unforgettable, and this was only the beginning. The following day of filming began with a different kind of energy, one that blended excitement with quiet determination. Everyone on the Pepsi commercial team knew how important this project was, and after the successful rehearsals earlier, they wanted the next stage of filming to be even better. The Shrine Auditorium felt like a small world of its own. Busy hallways, echoing footsteps, the warm buzz of conversations, and the soft glow of stage lights being tested again and again. Every corner held a sense of purpose, as if each person there understood they were contributing to something memorable. Michael arrived a little after sunrise. He stepped out of his vehicle wearing his familiar smile, greeting people one by one, as if he recognized each face personally. His gentle manner helped calm even the most nervous crew members. For some, this was the biggest project of their careers, but Michael's presence made it feel like a friendly collaboration rather than a high-pressure assignment. He moved quietly, but confidently, making everyone feel valued just by acknowledging them. The set looked even more polished than the day before. The staircase where Michael would make his entrance had been carefully cleaned and adjusted. Lights had been repositioned to highlight his steps, and every silver rail gleamed under the bright stage lamps. The production team had spent hours making sure the environment aligned with the director's vision of a lively, exciting stage performance. Dancers stretched near the edges, chatting softly, adjusting their costumes, and preparing mentally for a long day of shooting. Michael went through a warm-up routine with the dancers. He practiced each step slowly at first, observing the rhythm and making minor adjustments. He wanted everyone to move as one, like a single wave of energy. The dancers admired his attention to detail. Even though he was a global superstar, his discipline was the same as that of a dedicated student. He never assumed he was above rehearsing or fine-tuning his craft. His heart was in the work, always. Once rehearsal began, the music filled the auditorium again. The opening notes echoed across the empty rows of seats, bouncing against the tall ceilings. Michael took his place at the top of the staircase, straightening his jacket and focusing his mind. The director signaled for the dancers to prepare, and soon the room was filled with synchronized movement. Michael descended the steps with his signature grace, and the dancers followed the beat around him, creating a lively atmosphere that brought the commercial to life. The crew members watched on their monitors, admiring how beautifully the scene was coming together. The camera operators whispered to each other about the perfect timing of certain movements. Lighting specialists fine-tuned the brightness to match the rhythm of the music. The atmosphere was both busy and peaceful, because despite the noise of equipment and music, everything flowed smoothly. During one of the rehearsals, the director approached Michael to discuss a creative idea. He believed that adding a bit more sparkle behind Michael during one of the key dance moments would make the performance shine even more. The idea was simple. Create a quick burst of bright light to emphasize the moment when Michael turned and flashed his famous smile. The goal was not to create anything intense or overwhelming, just a subtle effect to capture the excitement of a live stage show. Michael listened carefully, nodding with interest. He always appreciated creativity from others and enjoyed trying new ideas, as long as they supported the artistic vision. After discussing it with the technical team, they tested the effect from various angles. The crew controlled the equipment gently, making sure the flashes were soft and timed with the music. When Michael saw the test run, he smiled slightly. He could already imagine how the final commercial would look. The effect added just enough sparkle to make the performance feel magical without distracting from the dancing. The team took a short break while adjustments were made. Michael sat with a bottle of water, chatting lightly with the young dancers. They asked him questions about performing on stage, writing music, and dealing with nerves. He answered each question with patience, offering little pieces of advice that came from years of experience. His calm voice helped the dancers feel even more confident about their roles in the commercial. Meanwhile, the technical crew worked hard to ensure everything stayed perfectly safe and smoothly coordinated. They reviewed timing, checked equipment connections, and tested the light bursts again, making sure they were gentle and steady. Their goal was to create a beautiful visual effect that would complement Michael's performance. After the break, filming continued. The first few takes were smooth and filled with energy. Michael danced effortlessly, hitting every beat with precision. The dancers matched him step for step, their movements blending with the music as if they had performed together for years. The camera crew captured multiple angles, sliding between positions with practiced skill. The director watched closely, nodding approvingly as each take became stronger than the last. Throughout the day, the mood remained positive. People joked quietly between takes, shared encouraging words, and celebrated small victories when they captured a particularly good shot. Michael's kindness helped set the tone. Whenever someone looked stressed or tired, he offered a smile or a light comment to lift their spirits. His attitude created an environment where everyone felt motivated to give their best. Later in the afternoon, the team moved on to the final sequence of the day, one where the dancers would cheer around Michael as he completed his final spin. The moment needed to feel joyful and full of youthful excitement. The special light bursts behind him were timed to highlight this ending pose. The director explained the plan once more, making sure everyone understood their cues. Michael stepped into position and gently flexed his gloved hand, preparing himself mentally. The dancers bounced lightly on their toes, eager to get the next take right. The music started, the cameras rolled, and Michael moved through the choreographed steps with smooth confidence. As he reached the final spin, the dancers cheered in character, the music swelled, and the light burst activated just behind him. For a brief moment, everything aligned perfectly. The music, the movement, the timing. The take had a wonderful rhythm, and the director immediately called for a playback so the team could review it. Michael watched the monitor quietly, studying each movement. When the final pose appeared, he tilted his head slightly and smiled. Even through the small screen, the moment looked bright and energetic, exactly as the team had hoped. The dancers clapped happily when they saw themselves in the take. They felt proud of their performance, proud to be part of something historic. The director agreed they had captured a beautiful moment, but he asked for one more take, explaining that sometimes the final attempt produced an even better result. Michael didn't hesitate. He nodded warmly and returned to his mark, always willing to put in the extra effort. The next take carried the same enthusiasm. Michael danced with the same precision, and the dancers followed with perfect timing. As the sequence progressed, the music grew brighter, and the atmosphere felt even more joyful. Everyone on set could sense the energy rising in the room. The cameras continued rolling, and the day moved toward its final shots. Even after hours of dancing, Michael maintained his calm and focus. His expression showed both joy and dedication. To the crew, it was clear that he loved what he was doing, and that love translated into every movement he made. By the end of the day, the filming team felt a strong sense of accomplishment. They had captured beautiful performances, tested new creative ideas, and worked together smoothly from morning until evening. Michael thanked everyone personally before leaving the set, offering warm handshakes and gentle smiles, as if each person there had played an equally important role. When he finally stepped out of the doors of the auditorium, the sun had already begun to set. The air was cool, and the sky carried soft colors of orange and pink. It was a peaceful ending to a busy, meaningful day. And everyone believed that they were very close to creating a commercial that would soon be seen, loved, and remembered by people all around the world. The next filming day began with a quiet but positive energy. Everyone arrived early, ready to finish the remaining scenes of the Pepsi commercial. The Shrine Auditorium once again filled with the warm glow of stage lights and the gentle hum of busy conversations. People moved around with clipboards, cables, lights, costumes, and equipment, preparing every part of the set so the day would run smoothly. Even though they had already completed many great shots, the team felt excited about capturing the last important scene, one that would bring the entire commercial together. Michael arrived with his usual calm smile. He greeted people softly, offering friendly nods and gentle words. Even the security team relaxed when he stepped out of the car, because Michael carried a peaceful energy that made everyone around him feel comfortable. He walked inside the auditorium, waving politely to the technicians and dancers he passed along the way. Though he was one of the most famous people in the world, he never acted distant or unreachable. He remained kind, thoughtful, and warm. The set looked polished and vibrant that morning. The staircase had been cleaned once again, the lights were arranged neatly, and the spots where special visual effects would appear were clearly marked. The technical team had spent extra time reviewing their setup the night before. They wanted everything to be perfect. The crew held a quick meeting to go through the final plan, explaining timings, positions, and signals. Everyone listened carefully, understanding how important it was for the scene to flow naturally. Michael and his dancers warmed up nearby. They stretched, practiced footwork, and rehearsed simple steps. The dancers admired how Michael always took time to warm up with them. He laughed softly at some of their jokes, encouraged them when they felt nervous, and made them feel like equals. Working with him felt like working with a friend rather than a superstar. His down-to-earth attitude made the atmosphere light and positive. The director then gathered everyone to explain the last big shot of the commercial. This was the moment Michael would walk down the staircase surrounded by a cheering, lively atmosphere. The music would rise, the dancers would move around him with excitement, and small, bright sparkles behind him would add a sense of celebration. These sparkles were soft, controlled special effects, tiny bursts of light meant to create a festive feeling on screen. They were not intense, and the team had rehearsed them the previous day without any issues. Still, the director asked the technical crew to test the visual effect one more time. He wanted to confirm the timing matched Michael's steps and that everything blended smoothly with the lighting. The crew performed a careful test, watching the sparkles appear gently behind the empty staircase. The lights shone brightly but softly, adding a glow that looked beautiful both on camera and in person. Everyone nodded, satisfied with the effect. Once the test was complete, Michael took his position at the top of the staircase. He adjusted his jacket and ran his fingers lightly across the rail, calming his breathing and focusing his mind. Even with years of experience, he approached every scene with full attention. He never rushed. He always took a moment to center himself and understand the timing and rhythm of the moment. The music began playing through the speakers. The familiar beat echoed across the auditorium, filling the room with energy. Michael moved smoothly down the steps, hitting the beat with perfect timing. The dancers followed their marks flawlessly, and the director watched the scene unfold with excitement. The first take went well. The timing was almost perfect, but the director wanted a little more sharpness in one section of the choreography. Michael listened closely to the notes, nodding politely. He appreciated clear direction and always wanted to give the best performance possible. The dancers reset their positions, the technical crew reviewed their timing again, and soon the second take began. This one flowed beautifully. The movements blended with the music, and the sparkles glowed at just the right moments, creating a lovely rhythm on camera. But the director wanted one more take. He believed that capturing a few variations would give them more options during editing. Michael had no objection. He smiled gently and walked back to the top of the staircase. He always approached retakes with a positive attitude, knowing that small improvements could make a big difference. Before the next take, the crew made tiny adjustments to the equipment to brighten the sparkles just a little. The change was small, meant only to add a touch more glow. The team checked the timing again, ensuring everything stayed safe and balanced. They tested the brightness once more, watching how the lights responded. Everything looked good, and the director approved the next take. Michael stepped back into position, standing tall at the top of the staircase. The room fell quiet for a moment. Everyone waited for the music to begin. He glanced at the dancers, giving them a soft smile of encouragement. They nodded back, ready to give their best performance once again. The music started. The cameras rolled. Michael descended the staircase with smooth confidence. The dancers moved around him with lively energy, creating an exciting atmosphere. The mood felt wonderful, almost like a real concert. People watching from behind the monitors admired how the scene came together: bright lights, joyful faces, and coordinated movement. Then, toward the middle of the take, something unexpected happened. One of the small sparkle effects activated earlier than planned. It wasn't harmful in itself, but the mistimed flash distracted Michael and disrupted the rhythm of the moment. He paused slightly, surprised by the sudden brightness behind him. The dancers also felt the shift in timing. The director immediately called "cut" and asked everyone to take a short break. His voice was calm. He simply wanted to reset and check the equipment. The crew hurried in gently, making sure everything was all right. Michael took a slow breath, touching the back of his head lightly as if checking whether anything felt out of place. He remained calm, even though the unexpected moment had startled him. The technical team checked the equipment carefully. They realized the effect had been triggered a little earlier than expected, likely due to a timing error in the connection. It was not serious, but they wanted to correct it so the scene would flow smoothly. They apologized to Michael politely, and he smiled with understanding. He knew no one intended for the effect to activate at the wrong moment. Mistakes happen even in the most professional environments. The director suggested taking a longer break to allow the team to make any adjustments needed. Michael agreed and walked over to sit with the dancers. They talked softly, sharing light jokes and encouraging words. Michael assured them everything was fine and reminded them that even the best productions had moments that didn't go exactly as planned. His calm behavior helped everyone relax. After some time, the equipment was checked again, and the team confirmed everything was functioning properly. They decided to resume filming. Michael returned to his position, but the director noticed he seemed slightly quieter than earlier, not unhappy, just thoughtful. He brushed his hair gently, perhaps still aware of the earlier moment. But he gave a small nod to show he was ready for another take. They filmed a few more sequences, capturing nice angles and smooth movements. But the atmosphere had changed slightly. People wanted to be extra careful, making sure each cue aligned perfectly. The dancers performed well, and Michael continued working with the same dedication, but everyone sensed that the earlier surprise had left a delicate impression on him. The director decided to pause recording early for the day. He wanted to review the footage and give the team time to double-check all equipment before filming again. Michael agreed, understanding the importance of being cautious and thorough. He gathered his things, thanked the team warmly, and prepared to leave. As he walked out of the auditorium, the crew watched him with quiet respect. They admired his patience, his professionalism, and his gentle spirit. Even when faced with an unexpected moment, he handled it with grace. The day had been productive, but it also reminded everyone of how important careful timing and attention were in creating a safe, smooth production. Nobody knew then that this moment would later become a significant part of his story, a moment widely discussed, replayed, and remembered. But in that exact time and place, it simply felt like a day where something small had gone wrong, and everyone was doing their best to move forward with care. The days following the unexpected moment on set carried a very different energy for everyone involved. While the filming had been filled with excitement, creativity, and teamwork, the small mistake in timing had created a thoughtful atmosphere around the project. Michael, who usually remained cheerful and relaxed, grew a bit quieter after the incident. Although he did not complain or blame anyone, people could feel that he was thinking deeply about what had happened. He understood that even small surprises on a production set could leave an emotional mark. The team, still thankful for Michael's calm reaction, began meeting every morning to discuss how to move forward. They reviewed equipment, rechecked plans, and made sure every detail was handled with extra care. Their goal was not only to complete the commercial beautifully, but also to ensure that Michael felt safe, comfortable, and confident as they continued. The technical crew especially felt a strong responsibility. They respected Michael greatly and wanted him to know that his trust in them was valued. Everyone wanted to show that they cared. Michael spent the next few days resting and reflecting. Even though the moment on set had been brief, it reminded him how unpredictable fame could be. He had lived in the spotlight since childhood, and over time he had learned that success came with both joy and challenges. People admired him everywhere he went, but along with admiration came expectations, pressure, and long hours of work. He often pushed himself beyond limits because he wanted to give his best to the world. But this small incident reminded him of the importance of slowing down and taking care of himself when needed. Friends and family encouraged him to take time off. They knew he rarely paused to breathe, even when he was tired. They talked to him gently, reminding him that everyone deserved rest, even the biggest stars. Michael listened quietly, grateful for their support. Despite his enormous fame, he often felt comforted by simple, genuine care from the people close to him. He spent time at home, listening to soft music, drawing, and thinking about his future projects. He also took a moment to appreciate how much he had already achieved: record-breaking albums, iconic dance moves, and a place in history that no one else could claim. Meanwhile, news about the Pepsi commercials spread quickly. People around the world were excited to see it, and the media talked constantly about how this partnership between Michael and Pepsi was one of the biggest deals in entertainment history. Fans were eager, expecting something spectacular and unforgettable. Rumors about the filming incident also began to surface, though Michael and his team tried to keep the details quiet to avoid unnecessary worry. Michael always preferred peace over drama. He didn't want anyone to panic or blow things out of proportion. He wanted the focus to remain on positivity. Pepsi executives reached out to Michael with heartfelt messages. They wanted him to know that they cared about his well-being more than anything else. They reassured him that he could take all the time he needed and that they would adjust the filming schedule to support his comfort. These kinds of messages meant a lot to him. Even though big companies sometimes felt distant, the people behind this project showed real concern, and Michael appreciated that deeply. During this time, Michael also met with his creative team. They talked about the commercial, his upcoming music projects, and his long-term goals. His career had always been guided by imagination, passion, and a desire to bring happiness to others. Even now, with the filming paused, his mind couldn't help but wander to new ideas, new songs, new stories, new choreography. He wanted to keep growing and creating, but he also understood the importance of moving at a healthy pace. One afternoon, while sitting with his manager and a close friend, Michael expressed that the experience had made him think about how quickly life could change. He wasn't speaking with fear. Rather, he spoke with wisdom. He had always been sensitive and thoughtful, and moments like these reminded him to stay grounded. He spoke about gratitude for his fans, his success, the people who supported him, and the opportunities he had received. He believed that every challenge carried a lesson, and he wanted to learn from this one as well. Over the next few weeks, Michael made several public appearances. People were relieved to see him smiling, waving, and interacting with fans as warmly as ever. His kind nature always shone through, and his fans loved him not just for his talent, but for his gentle heart. Some supporters asked him how he was feeling, and he always gave reassuring answers, saying he was doing well and looking forward to finishing the commercial. His calm presence comforted everyone. Behind the scenes, something else was happening, something that showed the depth of Michael's compassion. Pepsi had provided compensation to him after the filming incident, and instead of keeping it for himself, he decided to use it to help others. Without hesitation, he donated the entire amount to a medical center that supported people with recovery needs. He wanted the money to bring comfort and hope to others who were going through difficult times. This decision reflected his true character. Michael had always believed in giving back. He cared deeply for children, families, and individuals facing emotional or physical struggles. His heart was full of empathy. News of his generosity spread quickly, inspiring people around the world. Fans praised him for turning an unfortunate moment into something meaningful. They said that Michael always found a way to shine light in dark places, and that his kindness reached far beyond the stage. Even people who were not fans of his music admired his decision. It showed them that Michael Jackson was more than a performer. He was a compassionate human being who truly cared about others. As weeks passed, Michael slowly returned to work. He met with the Pepsi team again, discussed new creative ideas, and reviewed the footage they had already filmed. The commercial was nearly complete, and many parts looked spectacular. Michael loved the energy from the dancers, the bright lights, and the joyful spirit captured on camera. Even though everything had unfolded differently than planned, he believed the final result would still be something special. When he stepped back onto the set for the final adjustments, the crew greeted him warmly. They were happy to see him, relieved that he felt comfortable returning, and excited to finish the project together. The director walked up to him and shook his hand gently, thanking him for his patience, understanding, and artistry. Michael smiled and thanked everyone for their hard work. He knew the incident had weighed on the team just as much as it had affected him emotionally. They filmed a few final shots over the next few days. This time, everything felt safe, calm, and perfectly controlled. The crew moved carefully but confidently. The dancers performed with extra joy, hoping to lift the atmosphere and help Michael feel at ease. And Michael, with his natural grace, delivered every step with the same passion he always brought to his craft. When the commercial was finally completed, everyone gathered to watch the final version together. As the screen lit up, the room filled with excitement. Michael appeared on the staircase, glowing under the bright lights. The dancers moved with energy around him, the music played beautifully, and every part of the commercial felt alive and vibrant. The small sparkle effects shimmered gently behind him, adding a soft, celebratory touch. The final product looked magical, full of joy, rhythm, and color. Michael watched quietly, his hands resting in his lap. When the commercial ended, he nodded with a warm smile. He felt proud, not just of the finished product, but of the strength and teamwork that carried everyone through challenging days. The crew applauded, some with tears in their eyes, grateful to have shared such a meaningful experience with him. And Michael thanked them once more, expressing his deep appreciation for their care and dedication. In the end, the experience became more than just a commercial. It became a reminder of resilience, kindness, teamwork, and the way people could come together in difficult times. It showed that even moments that begin with uncertainty can lead to powerful, positive change. And for Michael, it became a quiet but important chapter in his journey, a chapter that shaped his heart, strengthened his spirit, and deepened his understanding of the price of fame and the value of compassion. As time passed, the Pepsi commercial developed a special place in the memories of people around the world. Though it had started as a simple advertisement, it slowly became something deeper, something that represented a turning point in Michael Jackson's life. Fans, filmmakers, and music lovers all saw the commercial as a reminder of his incredible talent, but also as a symbol of the challenges that came with his level of fame. The bright lights, the cheering dancers, the rhythm and the sparkle effects created an image that stayed in people's minds long after the commercial finished airing. When the ad finally appeared on television, millions of viewers watched it with excitement. Michael's smooth moves, charming smile, and effortless grace filled the screen with a joyful energy. Children tried copying his steps in their living rooms. Adults talked about how stunning the visuals looked, and brand executives celebrated the success of one of the most memorable commercials ever made. People recorded it on VHS tapes, replayed it, and shared it with friends. For a long time, the Pepsi ad became a small piece of pop culture history. But behind this dazzling success, Michael carried quiet reflections about everything he had experienced while making it. He understood how much work, stress, creativity, and pressure went into these productions. He also realized that unexpected moments, big or small, could shape the emotional memory of a project forever. Even though he continued smiling, performing, and inspiring millions, he often looked back on the Pepsi commercial with a thoughtful sense of gratitude and caution. It taught him lessons about patience, teamwork, and the importance of caring for his well-being. Over time, small clips from behind the scenes of the commercial began to resurface. Some were shown in documentaries, others were shared in news segments about Michael's career, and a few appeared in special anniversary programs celebrating his life and achievements. Fans began calling the videos rare because they gave a glimpse into a side of Michael that was not always visible. The hard-working, gentle, focused artist who remained dedicated even when things grew difficult. These clips also reminded people of the delicate balance between fame and personal peace. Viewers saw him smiling between takes, encouraging dancers, listening to directors, and patiently practicing each movement until it looked perfect. They saw a man who gave everything to his craft, who carried himself with grace, and who handled challenges with quiet strength. Even the smallest behind-the-scenes moment felt touching to fans because they knew how much effort and heart Michael poured into everything he did. The phrase "price of fame," which people later connected to this period of his life, described something beyond money or success. It reflected the emotional cost of constantly being in the spotlight. While fame had brought Michael love, admiration, awards, and global recognition, it had also brought long hours, physical strain, and moments of worry. He appreciated his fans and valued the opportunities fame gave him, but he also longed for peace and normalcy at times. Still, he chose to use his experiences for good. He turned his challenges into acts of kindness, generosity, and empathy. After the filming incident, he donated the compensation he received to help create better care for people in need. That single act inspired many, showing that Michael didn't hold bitterness or disappointment. Instead, he transformed an uncomfortable experience into hope for others. His giving nature became part of his legacy, and people often remembered how he used his platform to help those facing hardship. As years went by, the Pepsi commercial became a quiet chapter in Michael's long and extraordinary story. New projects came, new albums were released, and his fame grew even larger. But the commercial remained a reminder of the young man who stood on that stage, surrounded by lights and dancers, trying to create something magical for the world. Fans often revisited the commercial to feel nostalgia, joy, and admiration for him. They saw a performer who moved like no one else, who could turn an ordinary advertisement into something iconic. For Michael, the memory of the commercial became something he carried privately. He didn't speak about it often, but those close to him knew it left a mark. It encouraged him to pay more attention to the people around him, to ensure that every set he worked on was safe and supportive. It reminded him to trust his instincts and to take breaks when needed, and most importantly, it taught him that even when the world seemed to rush forward, he had the right to slow down and protect his peace. Fans sometimes wrote letters to Michael, sharing how much the commercial meant to them. Some said it was the first time they saw him dance. Others said the commercial inspired them to become performers or artists. Some even said the ad helped them get through difficult times in their lives because Michael's energy made them feel hopeful again. These messages reminded him that everything he created, whether a song, a dance, or an advertisement, had the power to touch hearts. As digital media grew, the commercial found a new life online. People uploaded old recordings, added their own edits, and created tributes celebrating the moment. Many younger fans who had never seen the commercial on TV discovered it through the internet and were amazed at how energetic, stylish, and creative it looked even decades later. In their eyes, it didn't feel like an old ad. It felt timeless. Some fans even searched for behind-the-scenes clips, calling them rare, because they offered quiet moments that felt personal and meaningful. In these rare clips, Michael's soft laughter, friendly gestures, and focused expressions made people feel connected to him. They saw a human being behind the legend, and that connection made the commercial even more beloved. As more time passed, the story became part of Michael's cultural legend. Writers, filmmakers, and music historians mentioned it when telling the story of his career. They spoke about the beauty of the commercial, the dedication of the young star, and the gentle lesson he learned about the nature of fame. They emphasized that even someone as gifted as Michael faced challenges, and that his strength came not just from talent, but from his ability to stay kind, thoughtful, and generous despite everything. In later years, Whenever people discussed the price of fame, many thought about Michael's gentle way of handling adversity. He never argued publicly, never spoke harshly about what happened, and never allowed the moment to define him negatively. Instead, he continued performing, creating, sharing love through his music, and giving hope to millions around the world. His resilience became part of his legacy. During interviews, people who worked on the Pepsi commercial often shared warm memories of Michael. They talked about how polite he was, how hardworking, how sweet to the dancers, and how grateful for their efforts. Many said it was one of the most memorable experiences of their careers, not because of the challenges, but because of the kindness and humility he showed throughout the process. As the years turned into decades and long after Michael was no longer physically present, the commercial remained a bittersweet reminder of a beautiful yet delicate moment in his journey. The world remembered not the mistake in timing, but the light he brought to the screen, the joy he shared with viewers, and the compassion he displayed afterward. In the end, the story became an example of how even difficult moments can hold beauty, meaning, and inspiration. For fans today, watching the commercial feels like stepping into a time capsule. They see a young Michael at the height of his stardom, smiling, dancing, glowing under the stage lights. They see the excitement of a generation, the creativity of the set, and the passion behind every step he took. But they also feel something deeper. The quiet truth that behind every shining moment in the spotlight, there is a person who experiences emotions, challenges, and lessons just like anyone else. The Pepsi commercial remains special because it captures both sides of Michael, the dazzling performer and the thoughtful human being. It shows that even in moments shaped by pressure and unpredictability, Michael's heart stayed gentle, his spirit stayed strong, and his desire to spread joy never faded. The rare clips, the memories, the discussions, and the lessons all come together to paint a picture of a man who gave everything to his craft and never stopped caring for others. And so, the story of the Pepsi ad lives on, not as a tale of mistakes, but as a reflection of resilience, kindness, and the complex journey of a star whose light continues to shine, inspiring people long after the cameras stopped rolling.